So going into this week, we had Mayhem and Boston. Those two teams are definitely top 4. Boston preferred to play a lot of mirror. They like to play dive, Winston. So we knew we were going to get that matchup there. Mayhem, we knew that they're kind of play everything. They'll play literally whatever they think gives them the best chance of winning. There's no one tricking for them. There's no, they're a bit unpredictable for sure in matches. For instance, we had no idea they were going to play Ryan defense on Eichenwald. Didn't see that coming at all. Going into Mayhem, those 5 maps were legitimately our worst 5 maps in probably the entire pool. So we knew it was going to be a bit of an uphill battle. So we spent a lot of time talking about those maps and going over them, trying to prepare for everything we could see. We really focused on us. In retrospect, we could have probably spent more time focusing on what they were going to do. We played what we thought was counters into their counters. Didn't quite work as well as we thought. I thought on Antarctic and Kahlo, I felt like both those maps, we had opportunities to win, especially on Kahlo. I felt like we put ourselves in spots to win, and we essentially failed to make the right play, failed to keep the tempo, failed to go first. The top of Mayhem just being really good. Like, they're a really good team. They're probably the team to beat right now, considering how the meta's slowly evolved into all this other comps.
Walker late after the blade is long since gone, and oh my goodness, it's fumble after fumble here for the Atlanta Reign, but Chio doing Chio things. Has found 2. Checkmate's in deep trouble. No ice block available, and that's your boy Chio. That's why he makes the big bucks.
What exactly do you mean by like tempo?
So
what does a tempo mistake look
with
like?
the tempo, there's about 1,000 ways to go about it, but there's like a couple main ways. One is when you're even or neutral, there's ways to kind of get up in the fight or maintain pacing of the fight or control, and essentially have the fight in your terms or deny them access to engage first, ult first, play where they want to play. If you watch it back without going into too much detail, there was a lot of ult advantages that we had to where if we essentially honestly just went first, like forehead, we legitimately nearly insta win. If say you blade, if you blade and the guy lamps and E's and the other guy's shifting and the other guy's running this way and this guy's recalling, I can't explain how much you are up in that fight, essentially right then and there for that blade, right? Even if you don't get a kill, just you can whip the thing out and stare at them. Like, I'm not even joking you. At that point, your tempo is so far up in that fight, okay? And you're way up in ults. And then at that point, you're full in control of the fight. And you can pile a nano with it, primal with it, a beat with it, whatever it is that we have. And instead, we would let them kind of get us in the back foot, engage first, take some control first, little things they would do, which was like kind of half on them playing well, honestly. It's also on them, like it wasn't just us screwing up. But when we were so far up that we had the opportunity to strike and we just didn't, quite frustrating, especially against Brawl. I think some of our players are learning more and more every day how to play against Brawl. I think that's really good. It's a really good skill to learn to play Brawl and play against it and how that works. Mayhem is great at keeping tempo as well. Like that's something they really work on. They're really fast, they play fast. Maybe they feed sometimes, but they try to hold the tempo as well. I think when we play Somber Tracer, we are always in control of the game 95% of the time. I think that's just why we win. And that most of that's just honestly just pure raw mechanical skill. This one is a little bit different. I'm thinking about 3 or 4 or 5 fights, literally where the cart was in the middle of the map, and it was a one fight for us to take the lead, or one fight for us to kind of open up the whole map and take a huge lead. And every time there was a massive tempo mistake. That's why when you lose like that, it doesn't feel like, oh man, you know, like it doesn't feel as bad because you know it's something so minor that is easy to fix going forward because we're also weren't in a mirror. So yeah, it was a good match. We weren't too upset about it. You know, it's gonna be an uphill battle with that one.
Stalker's blade, maybe the focal point for this next fight. He goes for it straight away, but they've already lost Lift. The primal rate from someone yields the kill, and Choron is up to stay away from Stalker for long enough. He's 2 HP, another swing and it's down. Blizzard now gonna be deployed, and Dong Hack is felled, and the Florida Mayhem have done it, and someone knows it.
So at this point, you've taken two losses for the season.
Yeah.
One was to Houston, one was to Florida, and you mentioned that Florida has a lot of flexibility,
yeah.
whereas Houston, like yourselves, has
Yeah.
like a really, really strong dive mirror.
Yeah.
Which team at this point in the season do you consider like the bigger threat between the two of them?
I consider Florida significantly a bigger threat. I think if we played Outlaws right now, I think 9 out of 10 times we beat them like, pretty easily as well. Florida is a much harder matchup because I think that team is actually flexible. They're not all S tier in every hero, but you know they're actually good at other stuff too, and they're not scared to play weird stuff or counter. So if you played them and say you get first map pick and it's a loser picks map, I think that series becomes a lot easier as well. I think Houston's a great team, but I just think they're so predictable.
Hey, here's a question for you though, Matt. How do you, as the Atlanta Reign, prepare for a week where you have to play back-to-back against the Mayhem and then the Uprising? Do you pick one of these teams to put all your eggs in that basket? How do you spend your time?
Going into Boston the next day, we knew we were going to get our dive mirrors. There was a lot more dive maps. The first 2 maps were pretty much the first 2 maps and last map are just perma dive maps. Play anything else, you're probably just going to lose. They're just quite dominant, honestly. They weren't very close.
All right, EMP for Birdering. Few and far between they've been, and this one doesn't yield any results either. A 2-for-1 trade and Liv on the Sombra is on a running riot. Not much to say about that one. Chat, I'll be honest. Lip is 6-0, Stalker is 8-1, Donghack is 8-2, and the entirety of the Uprising have 4 final blows for the map. Absolutely disgraceful start against this Atlanta Reign squad, who seem to be, despite a busy week, invigorated.
Then going into that 3rd map, that was Hawk's map, normally a Sigma map. We had a feeling that they weren't going to play Sigma since they did not put Kalios in. I think that was kind of like a dead giveaway. We were expecting them to play Monkey, we did not expect them to play Queen. Circle Royale, we've never played Queen there ever before. Literally ever. Hawks never played Queen there. And our Korean players were like, yo, go Junker, like mid-map. We legitimately never played it before. So I think it worked out well. We ended up capping the map with a couple minutes. Obviously, there was some blundering on the defense. Really bad plays and some really bad target focusing, some really bad timing, some really bad engages. But wasn't too upset about that one. Once again, I thought we were in a position to win that. I really do. And I think just tempo-wise, just really bad mistakes there, especially on our first and second defense. Really bad mistakes.
Another pick you made on certain was you put Stalker on Genji, and I'm
Yeah.
curious what Genji's strengths are
Yeah.
on this map that makes you want to play him.
Genji's strengths are, it's literally the hero. If you wanna give your Genji a chance to take over the lobby and win the game because of it, that's essentially what we've done. I'm honestly, I don't even think it's necessarily the best option. It's something our team enjoys playing. It's a fun play style. We are aware that the BAP Zen is just as good, if not probably better maybe. But we like playing to our strengths and what our team enjoys. It's a bit riskier. You're giving your Genji and Brig a chance to carry the lobby rather than doing Hanzo BAP and just poking and then probably giving your Widow Sig Zen more chance to carry. Just a preference thing, really. Like, there's not much else to it. We don't necessarily think it's some crazy counter or even necessarily better. It's just preference, honestly. And then going into Colo, we really thought they were going to monkey mirror us there, but we knew that they would probably not, considering how the first 2 maps have gone. Honestly, I consider that a bit of a cheese. I really do. The stuff Mayhem plays is not really cheese. That is like pretty cheesy. They might as well pull Torbot while they're at it, honestly. Pretty much a AFK comp, hoping you get some shit off on high ping, essentially. I remember Donghack ended up swapping to Ram. He ended up swapping to Chris at the very end. I actually think Boston threw that map pretty hard. I really feel like they actually should have won it. They really screwed up in that very last fight where they tried to commit and committed ultimates to that fight for no reason, then end up losing and then feeding more ultimates to us. So it was a really bad fight from them. Alternatively, if they just backed out and reset in the high ground, you'd have an risk of trying to take a high ground with them having ults, and we would not have had more % on ult charge as well. So they really messed up there. Either way, Ilios was map 5, so I was very confident. But that is like the flawed concept of the set map pools, because we just get Ilios map 5 and probably just win off that for free instantly. There's not really much they can do about it.
Just around the corner, but the Kitsune runs gets thrown to the cart. Lips trying to work the periphery here, but Lee J. Gong was able to pick Stalker up. Birdring's going to come back to the fight, but his teammates are gone. It's all the Atlanta Reign. Lee J. Gong steps up, tries to avert what is the inevitable at this point. Seal bashes back to safety now. It's Birdring in the fray. But that's going to be it. The Atlanta Reign have the numbers. They bring the Orisa in to get the job done. And it's not jubilance on their face. It's a sigh of relief. They were this close from going to a map 5. But they hold on and hold off the Uprising for the 3-1 win.
last week you said that the perfect play dive will beat the perfect play brawl.
Yeah.
After this past week, do you still feel that way? Do you feel like these brawl comps like have legitimate legs? And do you see yourselves like making any possible composition changes or tank changes in the future to reflect that?
I know the perfect dive beats the perfect brawl right now, but that's also a flawed concept because that's what a lot of teams think. And the problem with that is a dangerous thought process to go down because, especially in 5v5, in order to be the perfect dive, for instance, I don't think we're in our peak form right now. I feel like we're at the very end of a meta. We didn't even get a break after Korea. Like, we're just like zoned out. Like, it's just hard. If we're in peak form and it's 0 ping, I'm 100% certain we win Kala. But that's a flawed way of thinking, especially in online matches with set map holes. Very dangerous thought process to go down the perfect dive beats the perfect brawl. But I still stand by that. And I think everybody across the league would generally say the same. But how often are you getting your perfect dive? You know what I mean? It's not. That's like saying you could pick Widow and you'd win every map if the Widow hits every shot. Well, of course, you know, that's not realistic though. I think Hawk coming in more isn't something that we're like necessarily going all out for. And at the end of the day, the goal is always to win the actual championship. We won like the mini championship in the middle of the season, but you're not actually a champion. There's one champion a year, like any way you slice it. We were willing to just spend a lot of time practicing the dive stuff. At any point in time, we could honestly go to Brawl and play Brawl for 2-3 blocks a day and then just nitpick it for 2-3 hours in review a day too, if we really wanted to. But I don't think that's necessarily going to make us a better team right now. I think if the meta shakes up to be a Brawl meta for playoffs, we're happy to do that. We have a lot of great Brawl players. So if it comes down to that, then yeah. And on top of that, a lot of our maps this week just happen to be Brawl maps too. Like, it's just honestly just unlucky. If I'm being honest, if we say there's a tournament right now and we're first seed, we're doing exactly what we did in Korea. We're probably just picking Ilias every first map. And every map pick of ours is just gonna be a dive map. So essentially you have to win dive maps to beat us. You can pick your Brawl maps and there's still a decent chance we'll win that if we're 0 ping dive against it. So, you know, there's a lot of ways to look at it and go about it. Right after, you could always just start nitpicking in hindsight, but the hindsighting is the most tilting thing for a player and for a staff, especially players. Nobody likes hindsight Andersons, you know, after matches. Everybody's on board with something before. If it doesn't work, no hard feelings. That was like the hill we were willing to die on. So I have no regrets anything with this week. Sometimes we could be a little bit more like a Mayhem maybe and test some more stuff. Maybe a little more diversity stuff, but also at the end of the day, like, our guys just have so much fun playing dive. So like, it's hard to take that away from them, you know. So yeah, so I'm happy with how it went. I don't think there was some big need for Hawk to come in. Trust me, he's very vocal as well. He gives his opinions and stuff. And if he felt like he needed to come in this map, or he thinks it's necessary for him to be in there, he'll vocalize his opinion as well, and then we'll discuss it as a team. Nobody's ever shut up. Everybody's voice is equal. There's not a single person whose voice weighs more than the other. I promise there was 1,000 different options going into this week, and I think nearly every one of them were considered.
Yeah, and just to make sure I'm understanding correctly, you're basically saying that there's like enough flexibility in the meta that Brawl versus dive at this point is really more of a skill matchup than a composition thing.
Yes.
You'd rather play to your strengths.
Yes. Yeah. I think it's more of a skill matchup, and we would rather win if we play really well, and lose if we don't. And I also think that it's more entertaining for viewers to watch as well. You know, like, we could easily just whip out Hawk and just start running ROM rush everywhere, but what's kind of the fun in that? You know, I don't think that's necessarily making us a better team either. I really hope we can get a Brawl meta. I think that'd be a lot of fun. I think that would give me and Hawk a lot more impact on the team as well. I think it'd be fun to kind of just grind out a Brawl meta. But I guess we'll see. Better week of preparation this week, I think. Of course, we lost one match, but I think that's the other best team. I really do. So I do appreciate people not dying on the hill of the dive mirror, though. I really do appreciate that. I think that's good. Like, I think that'd be boring to watch, honestly. So, but yeah, I feel like there was a lot of improvement within the team this week. So that's what I was happy about. Even after the matches, I think there was a lot to learn. People learned a lot of mistakes. I think it was a really good week overall, and I'm actually weirdly glad we lost, because I would rather be a 14-2 team that wins the Super Bowl than a 16-0 Patriots that loses in the Super Bowl. I was perfectly okay with this week. I think now we get a break. I think we can come back like fully refurbished and just refreshed. and also without the pressure of that stupid never lost thing under our belt. You know, we went almost two-thirds through the way of the season without losing. Nobody's done that, so I'm almost glad it's just kind of off now. If we went into playoffs undefeated, that would have been so much just unneeded pressure. I really hope people don't rank us first anymore. Like, I actually do. Like, I'm okay with that. Like, start picking other teams to win. That's fine. Like, works for me. I was salty for the first couple of days because I'm just a sore loser, but looking back at it, I think it's good going forward.